talk about a little bit of your ICD-10 preparations. To do this, let's start in your insurance company's list. And under your insurance companies, under the claims tab, you're going to see at the bottom, diagnosis code set to be used on, and this says ICD-9. When you're ready to switch to ICD-10, you're going to switch it to ICD-10, and you're going to select the date that you would like the ICD-10 to be applicable for. So in this case, if we wanted to start soon, we could put a date for today, or you can put a date for the future. And that'll change the ICD-10 selection just for this insurance company, whichever insurance company you're in at the time. And then you would save. If you wanted to change multiple insurances at the same, if you'd like to change multiple insurances at the same time, you would go to your Tools tab, ICD-10 Tools, and Set Insurance Code Set. Here at the bottom, you have the option to select or deselect all of your insurances. Or if you'd like to only select a few, you can do that as well. You'd make sure this is set to ICD-10 on the default code, and then you would select the date you would like the ICD-10 codes to be effective for. And then once you're done, you would select Update Selected, and then close. Map your diagnosis codes under your Tools tab as well, ICD-10 Tools, create ICD-10 Mapping. Okay, the first page that'll open up is your instructions. And the second tab here is one-to-one mapping. And it might take a minute just to load. It's loading all your codes. Once this loads, you can select codes that have a one-to-one ICD-9 to ICD-10 mapping. You can either use the option at the bottom, select delete, deselect all, or you can also just select the codes that you'd like to map. Once you select those codes, you would go down to the bottom and select Create Selected Codes. Once the list repopulates, the codes that you've already mapped will be gone from the list. And you should get a confirmation saying mappings were successfully created. The next tab over is Other Mappings. And this is used for ICD-9 codes that are mapped to more than one ICD-10 code. So this is for ICD-9 codes that are mapped to 2 or more ICD-10 codes. And what you can do is you can go through and select the ones you'd like to map. Some will have 2, some will have 50. It just depends on the code. And if you see the Select Deselect All button at the bottom, this will only apply to the ICD-10 mapping codes at the bottom of the screen here. So you can select the codes you'd like to map, and again, click on Create Selected Codes. Now, you don't have to convert all of these codes at once. You can do them in batches. If you'd like to map all of them, you can definitely do that. Lytec has the capability of storing all these codes, and it shouldn't slow down your system at all. It has a very robust database. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is how to search these ICD-10 codes. And to do that, you're going to come to your Lists tab and then to your diagnosis codes. If you select the magnifying glass, it'll pull up the page to find diagnoses. On the right-hand side here, you can select it to display ICD-10 codes, but you can actually search by your ICD-9 code. So if you wanted to find out which diagnoses mapped for a certain ICD-9 code, you could type in that code and it'll automatically show the ICD-10 codes associated with that ICD-9 code. From there, you can select your code and view the details. Now let's see how this applies to your charges and your payments. We select a patient and enter a new billing. We'll see that the diagnosis here is an ICD-9 code, but we've already told this insurance that it should be looking for ICD-10 codes. So this will show up in red, indicating that this is an ICD-9 code. So what you can do is if you try and send a billing with this diagnosis code, it will allow you to save, but it'll give you this message saying that this code is an ICD-9 code, and the system was expecting an ICD-10 code. You can override it and continue, but when you go to print this claim on the new CMS form, the ICD-10 codes will not show on the claim. So if we preview this, it'll generate the claim for us. And if we scroll down, you'll see that there are no diagnoses on this form. So let's close this. If you print it to the old CMS form, it will show the correct diagnoses. If you print to the old CMS form, it will show the diagnoses, but we don't recommend that you send on the old form.